What's up everybody, welcome back or to the channel. So today we're going to be doing something just a little bit different on my Ram truck build over here. So what we're going to be doing this year is adding a little bit of a splash of color, because I've always been pretty much prone to dark colors like blacks and grays for pretty much ever. And as you can see here on my truck, and if you followed the channel for a while, you'll know that my truck is primarily a combination of black and gray. But just like anything else, sometimes we need a little bit of change and we need a little bit more color in our life. So that's what we're going to be doing this year on my build. Now you may have heard me say in some of my previous videos that I do want to update my lift kit parts to a different color. I'm thinking a patriotic blue color. So I already have a new set of leather seat covers with some blue diamond stitching accents that I haven't put in the truck yet, so stay tuned for that video because that'll be coming soon. I do plan on updating the color of my axles and some of my lift kit parts throughout this summer, so stay tuned for that. But I want to add a little bit of a splash of color to the inside of the truck, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So without further ado, let's jump in the truck and I'll show you what I'm referring to. Okay, so as you can see here, my truck is primarily just stock, dark, charcoal, gray, black color. There's not much color to it. It's just pretty basic. So what I want to do is just add a splash of color. Now, I don't want to go crazy with color because I like to have tasteful color, not overwhelming color. So what I'm thinking about doing is just taking this little panel piece out here, painting this little piece here, maybe this piece right here, okay? I'm going to take this trim piece out right here, this gray piece here, paint that blue, probably paint this center portion here, try to get that blue, and the same on the other side. Now I already started taking some of the panels off on the other side, but I just wanted to point out a few of the panels on this side of what I plan on painting. Now on the back, there's not much I could do on the back seat, but I probably will try to take this panel out as well. Maybe this little trim piece here and then that trim piece there, but that's primarily about it. And then my new seat covers are going to be all black, but the center down the middle is going to have the blue diamond stitching, which I think will add a little bit of a nice splash of color as well. So that's primarily what I'm going to be working on this week. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you start taking off some of your panels. Now, some of these panels, as crazy as it is, this one right here pops out super easy. This one here, you pop this little lid off right here, pull the screw out, that pops out very easy. This stupid little thing here, you literally have to take the whole door panel off to unmount it from the back because it's held in there with this heavy duty bracket system, which makes no sense to me because out of all of the other important brackets, these are easy to get out. This stupid thing that does literally nothing is almost bolted in there. But either way, the panel pops off very easy. You just take these little plastic pins out, you unscrew them out around the edge. This whole door panel just lifts and pops right off. And then on the back, there's a little pinch clip that you can get to this panel here. All you gotta do is pop it off. And then this whole pocket panel thing here pops right out. These particular things here are all compression clips all around the side. So you just gotta get in there and try to kind of wedge it out and pop it out. This whole center portion here is pretty much all compression clips as well. So again, what I would just recommend doing is thinking about all of the panels inside your vehicle that you want to try to paint. Again, you could go crazy and paint a lot of stuff, which some people do, and it does look good. But for my daily driver of a truck, this is not specifically a show truck only. This is my daily driver. I don't want it to be too overwhelming with color. I just want to have a splash of color in here, which I think will look very tasteful. So let me go ahead and start working on taking all these panels out of the truck. And then what we'll do is we'll have to scuff them up a little bit, clean them a little bit, and then we'll start painting them. So I'll be back here shortly. Okay, so we got back. And this was a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I had to pretty much disassemble the whole dash area. So for the buttons for your power door locks and power windows, you pretty much have to unscrew the whole back assembly here from the back and literally take all of the buttons apart to be able to get this outer shell off. So now that's off and I can paint it. I was gonna try to just tape up the buttons, but it just wasn't gonna work that way for me. So I just took the extra time to take the buttons out. That way I wasn't getting any paint in any of the electronics. Most of the other panels pretty much pop off fairly easy, so that was simple. Again, it was just the buttons that was a little bit more challenging. This middle panel here was pretty much held on to the main assembly by just a bunch of little black screws like that. So unscrewed that, that came off. And the same thing on the right side. Again, now this one here, the whole panel doesn't come out of the assembly like that one does. So this one here, you just take the electronic module off the back, which is right here, okay? And then you just literally take the buttons out. So I'm gonna go ahead and just paint it just like that, and then we should be good to go. So these right here are primarily the main parts that I'm gonna paint. I still have to take the two little pieces off the back doors, but that's simple and easy. So once I have everything ready to go, I'm probably just gonna take like a Scotch pad or maybe like a Brillo pad and just scuff them up a little bit, wash them, get any of the old armor all and debris and oils off of the parts. Once they're washed and dried, then we're gonna start laying down our paint. So let me keep prepping this and we'll be right back. Okay, and then I went ahead and I took the back pieces out, which I have the door handle pocket right here. And I have the panel that goes around the actual door unlock lever. And then I believe right here is the actual unlock button. And again, I just took the main assembly out the middle. Now again, be very, very careful taking these computer chip assemblies out of these panels, because again, you wanna make sure you understand how they go back together. So I kept everything separate in baggies here, so I know exactly what parts go to what side of the truck, and that way I don't have to worry about figuring that out later. And again, we're good to go. So I have all my panels ready to go. Now all I have to do is clean them all, scuff them up, and then we can start painting. Okay, so we just got done scrubbing everything. So I sort of have everything separated. So I have the left side of the truck here, the center console, right side of the truck here. Up here, I have the left side of the back door and the right side of the back door. And then what I did was I just went in my kitchen sink and I took a Brillo pad, which I do like using Brillo pads for this type of application because they already have a soap which is going to help cleanse a lot of the old debris and oils and Armor All and things that maybe you've been wiping it down with for years. It's gonna clean a lot of that off. Plus, it's sort of like a steel wool, so it'll actually kind of scuff it up at the same time. So as you can see here, I don't know if you can see as it's drying, you see how it kind of has more of a gray look? That's just because I was scuffing up the actual black plastic a little bit with the actual Brillo pad. So I'm gonna go ahead and let all that dry for a little while, and then I'll start taping it up. Now there's not much I actually wanna tape up, but I probably will, you know, just tape up around the outer perimeters of the sides here. Might try to tape up this silver liner here. It does come out, but I'm afraid that if I bend it to get it out, it might not go back in and look as good. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I could try to tape it up. If not, I'll just paint over it as well. I'm not that super concerned with it. Once everything's dried and taped up, then we'll come back and lay our first coat of paint. Now what I'll be painting with today is probably this. So I like this Fusion spray paint here because it's actually a paint and primer all in one, and this is going to be the gloss patriotic blue. So I have multiple cans of that left over from when I did my train horn. So that's what we're going to be painting a lot of these parts, the patriotic blue, and I think that's going to turn out fantastic once it's all said and done. But again, what's nice about this paint here is because it is a paint and primer, you just want to put about 3 coats of paint on, and then we'll finish it up with maybe some type of a clear coat like this. Give it that nice, shiny, glossy clear coat, and we'll be good to go. Now again, this video is gonna be filmed over the course of a few days. So today, I just wanted to get the body parts off, get them clean, get them scuffed up, get them prepared, get them taped up. Then maybe tomorrow, I'll lay everything out. I'll throw the first coat of paint on. Maybe the next day, I'll throw another coat or 2 of paint on. And then maybe later that day or the next day, I'll throw the clear coat on. So again, you don't wanna rush this, because if you rush it, you end up making mistakes, and you wanna make sure that each coat of paint has plenty of time to dry before applying the next coat. So again, this is a little bit of a timely process, but if you take your time and do it right, I think the results are gonna come out awesome. So let me keep working on getting that prepared, and we'll be back. Okay, so I went over here in the corner of the garage and I just laid down some cardboard, and just basically to create a somewhat safer spot to paint so that a lot of the dirt and debris that kind of blows in from the garage doesn't just blow all over the parts. So I went in, I have a couple parts taped up with some just basically green frog tape or painter's tape, and I have everything pretty much prepared and ready to go. So we're just gonna go ahead and lay down a first coat of blue. And again, anytime you're gonna be painting with some type of rattle can or spray paint, you're doing light passes side to side and letting go of the button when you're done with that pass. So you're gonna hold the button in, go over, let go. Go hold the button in, go over, let go. And you're just doing that side to side at about 8 to 12 inches away from the part, just to let the paint create a fine mist over top of the product. If you do it correctly, you shouldn't have any running paint. And again, do a light coat first and then put about 2 more coats on. but let it dry for a good hour in between each coat. And then after you've done at least 3 coats, then we're gonna go ahead and put on some clear coat, and then we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and put a first coat of blue on, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we went ahead, put our first coat of the Patriotic Blue Fusion All-in-One spray paint on our parts. So far, they're coming out pretty good. And again, this is just the first coat. So again, once I let this dry for about an hour, I'll probably hit it with one more coat tonight, maybe the third coat tonight, but if not, I'll do the third coat tomorrow. After all of that dries, then I'll go hit it with about 2 coats of the clear coat, and then I'll let it dry for a full day. And once it's fully cured, then we'll go ahead and start putting all of our pieces back together and getting them mounted back in the truck. But I feel pretty confident that just these parts here is gonna add just the right splash of blue to the inside of the truck to complement the blue accents on the new seat covers I'll be putting in. And it'll give the inside of my truck a nice touch of color without being too overwhelming. So far, so good. Let's let this dry and we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I went ahead and just put my second coat on, and so far, everything's looking pretty good. All of the parts are taken pretty good. The only parts that are giving me a little trouble are the door handle area and this little corner crevice. Getting a little bubbling, but nothing much. Another coat or 2 of paint should fix that. We should be good to go. But all the parts are looking pretty good. There's the main center dash area there. Nice gloss. So I'm gonna let this dry for about another hour or so, and then I'm probably gonna come back tonight, throw my third coat of paint on, and then we should be done on the color. And then maybe tomorrow I'll throw a couple coats of clear coat on in the evening, let it dry overnight, and then we should be good in a couple days to put all the parts back in the truck. Okay, so we went ahead and got all of our coats of paint done, and now we're gonna be moving over to some clear coat. Now, for those of you that wanna get a little bit more perfection out of your paint, now would be a good time to do a little bit of wet sanding or using a fine grit sandpaper to just lightly go over some of these parts, just to get off some of the little rough spots or the orange peel or a little bit of the specks that is common when you're using spray paint. Now would be the time to do that. Do a little sanding, wipe it off, maybe throw another coat of paint on possibly, and then move on to your clear coat. I'm not really worried about it. I just really wanted to add some color to these parts, so I'm not gonna worry about sanding them to get them any smoother. They're pretty good already. I'm pretty happy with the finish so far. So I'm just gonna move forward to clear coating them. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a coat of clear coat on now, come back later tonight, do a second coat of clear coat, and then we should be good. And then I'll just let these parts sit for a couple days, letting them dry until I'm off work again, and then I'll put everything back together. So now we're just gonna go back over with the first coat of clear gloss. And with this, you don't have to go super heavy. You could just put a nice light coating on, just like this. Okay, you just wanna do nice, even, light coat, just to give it a nice, shiny gloss, but you don't want it to go on too heavy or to run. Just like that. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, so we went ahead and got our first coat of clear gloss on here, so we should be good to go. So now I'm gonna probably come back later tonight, make sure I give us a couple hours. I'll come back later tonight, throw the second coat on, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and let it dry for a couple days before putting it back on the truck. So far, so good. Okay, so most of the products came out pretty good. There were a couple small issues that I had. For some reason, the clear coat made a couple parts come out really grainy. And this big part here last night was a disaster. The clear coat actually just ruined all the paint. I don't know why, but it gave it like that crocodile skin look. Everything was cracked. It just looked horrible. So I had to take out my sander over here last night and try to sand that down, get all the paint off and get it down to the plastic again and try to recoat it. So that's gonna probably take another couple coats of paint to make it look a little better. This one part here, you can kind of see the little squiggly line right here in the front, right here with my thumb. I think the clear coat got a little too thick and dripped down and just kind of really made the paint look bad. So I'm just taking a small piece of sandpaper, real fine grit sandpaper like this, and just sanding that down. And I'll just go back through and touch it up with a quick coat of the blue spray paint. So again, I'm just going over the last couple pieces here just to touch them up a little bit, just to make them look a little bit better. The clear coat here that I used, for some reason, just did not take to the paint and just kind of made it look kind of grainy and messy. So once I get a couple of these parts just lightly sanded again, touch them back up with some more spray paint, let it dry, we'll be able to go ahead and get everything put back in the truck. So for now, let me keep working on touching this up and we'll be back. Okay, so just a quick update. Most of the parts are pretty much done at this point. I got a few of the panels put back in the truck on the front doors already. I just have to finish putting the center panel together. But once I get all that done, we'll go back over everything and I'll show you how it all looks. So let me keep moving forward and we'll get this wrapped up. Okay, let's take a closer look now that everything is installed. There you go. That's what it looks like. Now, overall, I'm pretty happy with how everything came out. The only piece that I'm not really happy with, that kind of bugs me a little bit just because I have some OCD in this regard, is this main piece here. I don't know if you could see it, but there's a couple kind of like the paint kind of like drooped a little bit. And the reason it got messed up is when I sprayed the clear coat that night, I did 2 coats. I don't know why the clear coat messed this up. Maybe it went on a little too thick. Maybe I didn't let it have enough time to dry. I really don't know what I did, but the clear coat destroyed this middle piece here. I mean, it was cracked. It looked like alligator skin. It really looked bad. So instead of doing the smart thing, which would be to get some type of paint stripper and clean it back down to the bare plastic, I tried to sand off with a very fine sandpaper pad all of the paint that I did down to the black plastic. Well, I got most of the paint off, but I didn't get it all off. And I didn't want to keep using more sandpaper because I was afraid I was going to start grinding down the actual black plastic. And I was getting a little bit impatient just because this is my daily driver truck and I didn't want to spend a whole week and a half driving with my whole center console hanging out. And I just didn't want to do that. So I kind of rushed the process a little bit. But overall, this center portion here, it's not perfect. A lot of this stuff didn't turn out perfect because, again, if you look close enough, there's a little bit of a grain here, but there is a grain on that actual piece. So when I look close enough, each part has a little bit of a different grain to it, and it wasn't going to be super smooth and shiny no matter what I did. And I did try to clean these parts, but for some reason, in a couple areas, especially down in these like little corners here, the paint just wasn't adhering to the plastic. It kept kind of like going away like oil on water. It just wouldn't lay in that area. So it was my mistake. I probably should have taken a little bit more time on the prep work, but I rushed this a little bit more than I wanted to. So my advice to any of you out there doing it, really take your time to do your prep work. I might have even had a better chance if I actually did use a primer, but this particular paint actually had a paint and primer mixed together. But a primer probably would have made this a little bit easier to do. But overall, it all came out pretty good. I used a couple of these cheap little things here that just clip onto your vents. Okay, they turned out pretty good. They have a nice gloss look to them. They look pretty good. So everything looks pretty good. I actually went ahead and painted this center piece here on my phone mount. Got that blue. Got all that blue. I painted the tray down here. I painted partial of my shift knob here. I bought these blue little inserts to go in my cup holders. So again, everything came out pretty cool. Nice blue accents. And then when I get my new seat covers in, they're going to be all black, but down the center is going to be blue diamond stitching. So I think that's going to look pretty good. Let's check out the back door real quick. Same thing, just a nice little touch of blue in here, which wasn't that crazy. I'll get the black and blue diamond stitching seat covers here shortly. And then I put the blue cup holders in here as well in the back. That's what it looks like over there. So again, I just wanted to add a splash because I think once I get the seat covers in here, those blue accents are really going to pull out and look really good. But overall, it wasn't that hard to do. It just took a few days, a little bit of prep work. Again, I did have to put a little bit more work into this centerpiece here because I screwed that up, but that was really my fault. I rushed the process a little bit, but for any of you that actually just want to add a splash of color to your vehicle, it's real simple and easy. Just take out the panels you want to paint, scuff them up, clean them up, lay a few coats of paint down. I would usually advise doing a light coat of clear coat at the very end, but maybe the clear coat that I had was bad. Maybe I put too much on. It went a little bit too thick. I don't know, but either way, my clear coat screwed up my paint a little bit. Again, not the end of the world. It still turned out pretty good. Again, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It definitely gives it a nice little touch of blue in here, and I really think the seat covers are going to pull out the blue once I get those installed, so stay tuned for that. But overall, there you go. If you want to add a little splash of color to your vehicle, it's pretty simple and easy to just do it yourself. Okay, everybody, so there you go. Everything went pretty good. It only took a few days to get all this wrapped up. Again, just a small mistake. It was really just my error because I didn't take enough time for prep work, and I probably rushed the project just a little too much. But overall, it still turned out pretty good. I was able to save some of the pieces, and everything turned out pretty good. But again, it's not that hard to do. Again, you just got to make sure you pull the pieces you want to paint, scuff them up really, really well. Make sure you thoroughly clean them and scuff them up. Then lay down a few coats of paint. Make sure you leave enough time in between each coat to make sure it dries. If you want, hit it with a clear coat at the very end. Remember, just a very light coat of the clear coat. You don't have to go heavy. But overall, it turned out pretty good, and I can't wait to get the new seat covers installed because I think it's really going to tie in the whole color theme that I'm adding to this truck this year. But that's it for today's video. I hope you like it. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like this video. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it for today's video. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I truly appreciate you all. Thank you, and as always, see you in the next video.